here we are. We are at part 4 of the Ultimate Marketing Checklist that you are working through. Hopefully you've maybe been through the whole thing. Hopefully you've actually stopped and thought a little bit about each piece as the videos are coming through, and you're really starting to think and get some ideas about how you can streamline your marketing and make it an actual strategic process that's growing your business, making your life easier, making each customer of yours worth more in revenue to you, all of the great and exciting things that we can do with our marketing, as well as attracting new customers. So that's what we're really going to be talking about today. Last video, we talked a little bit about what we do with the customers we have and how we make sure that we're using our messaging to really leverage those relationships, deepen them, and make sure we're offering all the solutions that we have to suit their problems. So we really have a deep relationship, and we're really getting the most out of that because it costs a lot less to, really nurture and continue to sell to those relationships than it does to create new ones. But let's talk about new ones, because we always have attrition and we always want to grow and scale our businesses. So we need to have a strategy and a system in place to be attracting new customers. So quick question is, do you know where your new high potential ideal customers are in person and online? And do you have a plan to connect with them and get them into your system where you're building this relationship? We've talked about that very few customers are actually going to show up on your doorstep ready to transact. Even if you have a quick transaction business, oftentimes people aren't just ready to make that transaction too soon. A lot of the businesses I work with, you're really developing a relationship, and this is a long-term play, and it's turning into a customer over a period of time. So the sooner you identify those prospects and get them in your ecosystem of creating those relationships, creating curiosity, enlightening them about the solutions, overcoming their objections, showing them social proof, creating authority through empathy and additional authority, all of those things. The sooner you get them into a system where you have a way to actually have that ongoing conversation, the better, right? The sooner they're going to convert, the sooner that they're going to experience how great it is to work with you, and the longer they're going to be partnered with you in solving their problems. So we have to have a strategy, and we have to make it a priority to keep working on this in our business. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that said, I wish I would have implemented a strategic goal and strategy and plan to be doing this in my business and making it a priority sooner, instead of just clawing for each and every client, getting by and not seeing the potential of actually having a process in my marketing and my sales to really nurture these relationships. And I am a full believer in nurturing in person. I proactively prospect myself. I pick up the call and I call people the phone, and I call people I don't know that I think are potential customers. I do that. I grew up doing that. I believe in it. And I believe everything we're creating now and we're talking about in our marketing can be used and translated into tools and really leveraging our sales as well. But we got to start here at the beginning, and we can talk about how you turn those in there in a later conversation. We may allude to it a little bit here, but really we got to start it somewhere. And if you don't start, you're never going to get there. Think about when you take a big road trip, right? If you don't fuel up that car and pack the car and get going, you're never going to get there. So we have to start. So you need to be thinking about, where are they? How are you going to connect with them? How are you going to really extend that first handshake? Even if it's not in person, if it's online, if it's virtual, how are you going to do it in that sense? So there's a lot of ways to do this, and every single business is unique. And it's super fun to sit down with people one-on-one and strategize about where those potential customers may be and how you can get in front of them, how you can really set yourself apart and add some value to them. But let's just talk about some of the big obvious places. We all know these, but if you really think about it, you're probably not leveraging them the way that they could be leveraged. So you're missing out on some potential. And then you probably aren't showing up consistently. That's a common mistake that we make. We're not really putting those, we talked about critical actions earlier when we talked about setting some goals for your marketing, right? Are you executing? And one of those critical actions should be somewhere along the line of attracting new prospects. So showing up on social media. We have a great tool, we call it the Story Build Lead Machine Kit, where we help people actually plan their social media for an entire year. And they can customize it, but it gives them those prompts, that inspiration and a strategy to follow to have the right mix of elements to add value, promote themselves, and do all the things that they need to do. So somewhere online, your potential customers are likely showing up in social media. You need to figure out where they are, what suits you too, so you're meeting in the middle, and then how you're going to commit to engage. You may pick a couple different platforms, but the strategy you're doing there doesn't need to be just showing up and talking and posting pictures of your kids or the beautiful sunset. No, people do want to get to know you, but you need to have a strategy. What are you talking about? What is the problem they're trying to solve? What do they need to know? What are their objections that they need to overcome? What are the obstacles that are getting in their way? You need to have fleshed all of this out in your messaging and be thinking about it and putting it into a strategy that you can apply to social media. And I understand, just like sending out emails, just like going and managing a prospect pipeline and working through a sales pipeline, this can be another thing, and it just feels like another thing we're adding to our bucket. But social media is a great place to start connecting with those people. And the more and the better system you can create to make this easier on yourself and consistently show up, but not just show up, but actually engage and start having those relationships there, the better. Now, one thing I'm going to say about this is you need to not forget. You can't just leave those relationships in your social media. You got to move them into your inbox or onto the phone or at least into a message chat, right? But then we want to take it further into our inbox, on the phone, whatever it takes. Take the relationships off of online, right? That's a great way to cast your net, but pull those fish in. Bring them something, start a conversation with them, give them a lifeline to start being in a relationship with you so they can learn about the solutions you have. Like we've talked about before, the best place for this is your email list, as well as whatever sales strategy you have in place, whether you have on the Boots Salesforce, if that's you, whatever it is, incorporate them into that process. But use some messaging that you've just worked on and actually apply that to a strategy online. Don't show up online on your social platforms without a strategy. If you are, I guarantee you are wasting your time. And even though we often feel like we're wasting our time online, we're surfing at stuff, if you have a strategy, you're going to find that you get much more efficient with the time that you're on there. You're going to show up ready to do something with a purpose, and you're going to be able to engage better with people. And you're going to start seeing results. You're going to see people start reaching out to you because they know what problem you solve, what your solutions are, and they've got to know you a little bit. They probably relate to you a little bit. So one avenue for this is social media. Find your platform, create a strategy, and bring them into your system, right? Another place is in person. What associations are they part of? Where can you be actually showing up and networking? Speaking, maybe you can be speaking, and that's a great way to create some authority. Once again, all of your conversations, if you're getting opportunities to speak and that's part of your strategy, make sure, once again, they're connected to your message. They tie in with your message. They're using those problem elements. They're telling the story of your brand, right? And your brand is in the business of telling the story of how your customers can solve their problems here and become a hero, right? We've talked about some of these elements. So those are also really great places. So think about where they work, maybe where they play, maybe hobbies that are, consistent in your industry. So all kinds of places where you might need to be thinking about showing up in person or having your sales people on the ground. When we're talking about this whole cycle and the system of marketing and sales, and they tend to flow together, right? And sometimes it becomes cyclical. So if you have sales boots on the ground, one thing you want to do when they're working with brand new prospects and they're trying to bring those in, help them help themselves. If they can capture them with a lead generator and get them into your email sequences and your inbox, if you can get them in that way, that just helps them, right? That's doing part of the communication, part of the enlightening for them. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where people have really put this strategy into place and their salespeople start coming back to them and saying, hey, I've been working on this customer for a long time, or have been trying to deepen the relationship and get them buying some other things from us for a really long time. And they finally came to me and said, hey, I read this email, or I saw this blog post, or I saw this video, and I didn't know that you did X, Y, and Z, right? So use this as a way to help them as well. So it saves them time. I mean, they're going to be working just as hard, but they're going to be working more efficiently, and they're going to have this superpower kind of working behind them, right? Dropping hints, giving subtle clues, helping them out because they're having the same conversations as your marketing strategy. So that's another place. A lot of people these days are finding people on podcasts or guesting in other people's social media platforms, or they're going into other people's email lists because they can offer value to a partner's or an affiliate's list. So there's all kinds of strategies. Depending on your business, it gets kind of unique, and you probably need to have a one-on-one conversation to figure out what best suits you, how much bandwidth you have. And one mistake I see people make that I want to note here is you got to figure out what you can do. Picking too many things and not doing them well isn't helping you. Find one or two great places to start and commit to showing up there and getting these new contacts there. Pushing them to your website, pushing them to your lead generator, getting them in a conversation in Messenger, then in an inbox, then on the telephone if that's part of your strategy and that works for your system, and having that conversation, giving them some value, but get those emails so that you're continuing the conversations. It's not just when you're there in person, but maybe when they have a moment, when they're looking through their email, when they're thinking about the problem, they can sit down and really process it because you're in their inbox. You're somewhere intimate where that relationship is continuing with them. So really, really critical, really vital. I really want you to consider where you're finding them and incorporating into your goal strategy how you're going to show up there consistently, and you're going to really be strategic about bringing them into your circle and really building that relationship. So those are just a couple places. There's so many ideas on this. Once again, I've offered to you guys and I'll offer again. If you want to hop on a call, we can do a quick, where might they be for you? Where are some areas that you need to be thinking about based on your business, your situation, your strengths and what you can play to, or the strengths of your team members and what they have going on. So you can always schedule that with me and we can do a consult call. That's at storybuild.marketing/schedule. So make sure you take advantage of that. But in the meantime, I want you to sit down and jot some ideas. Where are your customers? Where are those potential customers hanging out? Where do you shine? What fits with you? And where can you actually start bringing these people into your circle? All right, I hope that helps you here, and I hope you have some good ideas right here, and you're setting some goals, specifically some lead measures that really are going to push the needle in terms of continually bringing in a fresh supply of consistent, high-quality leads that are likely to convert for your products or services.